Hello, this is part 39 of my preparation for NSE4 exam, and today's theme is virtual clustering. Virtual clusters are an extension of FGCP. FGCP stands for FortiGate Clustering Protocol. For FortiGate with multiple virtual domains, VDOMs, the HA cluster must consist only of two FortiGate devices. So far, we learned about high availability clustering, where FortiGate device acts as a whole security domain. But if we have a high availability cluster with multiple virtual domains, then we need to configure virtual clusters. Virtual clusters allow to have one device acting as the primary for one virtual domain VDOM and the secondary for a different virtual domain. Each virtual domain has a primary and secondary FortiGate. Any device can act as the primary for some virtual domains at the same time. And because traffic from different VDOMs can go different primary FortiGate devices, then we can use virtual clustering to manually distribute our traffic between two cluster devices and allow the failover mechanism for each virtual domain between two FortiGate devices. So it allows FortiGate to be primary for some virtual domains and secondary for cluster VDOMs. So for example, here we can have in active passive high availability FortiGate device 1 and FortiGate device 2, and for example couple of them, VDOM A is primary, VDOM B is primary, and VDOM C is secondary on FortiGate 1, and on FortiGate 2 VDOM A is secondary, VDOM B is secondary, and VDOM C is primary device. And note that you can configure virtual clustering between only two FortiGate devices with multiple virtual domains. Full mesh high availability. Full mesh high availability eliminates a single point of failure, and it requires redundant or link aggregation group interfaces. We can have multiple types of topologies, like full mesh or partial mesh topologies, and full high availability and redundancy is preferable for full mesh high availability. The goal of full mesh high availability topology is to eliminate a single point of failure. Not only by having multiple FortiGate devices which form a cluster, but also having redundant links to the adjacent switches. The goal is to have two switches for both upstream and downstream links, and then connect the redundant links to different switches. For example, the topology where two FortiGate devices connected with two redundant links. So here we have FortiGate 1 and FortiGate 2, they are connected using two redundant links, and all other switches, here switch 1, switch 2, switch 3 and switch 4, they are all connected to each other, and it forms a full full mesh topology. And first we connect both FortiGate devices with two redundant links and connect links to all different switches. And here FortiGate devices forming a cluster, and each FortiGate is connected to two redundant switches using two different interfaces. Each FortiGate is connected to each switch, and each FortiGate is connected. This is, for example, cluster HB1, and this is cluster HB2. To achieve redundancy with adjacent switches, we must deploy redundant or LAG. LAG stands for Link Aggregation Group interfaces. If we use redundant interfaces, only one interface remains active. This avoids a layer 2 loop. So, and standard switch should suffice. However, if we want to use LAG interfaces, link aggregation group interfaces, then we must ensure that the switch supports multitask, multi-chassis link aggregator group, MCLAG, multi-chassis link aggregation group, or there could be similar virtual LAG link aggregation group technologies that ensures that we can form an LAG whole interface members to connect to different switches. So what is MCLAG, multi-chassis link aggregation group? Is a type of link aggregation group which constituent ports that terminate on separate chassis. Primary purpose of using it is providing redundancy in event of if one of the chassis fails. There is another type of technology. It's called LACP, Link Aggregation Control Protocol, and this is a subcomponent of IEEE 802.3 AD standard, and it provides a method to control the binding of several physical ports from a single logical channel. Yeah, so the goal of full mesh HA is to provide high availability with no single point of failure and eliminate this possibility. If we use redundant interfaces, only one interface remains active. So there are no layer 2 loops. FortiSwitch supports MCALG. FortiSwitch is a Fortinet Ethernet switch, and we can deploy FortiSwitch to deploy full mesh technology with FortiGate. And couple of questions for knowledge check. A link failover occurs when the link status of a monitored interface on the primary or secondary device goes down. We need to choose primary. So HA failover occurs when the link status of a monitored interface on the primary FortiGate goes down. And in active passive HA, high availability cluster, you can configure virtual clustering between, then we need to choose number, only FortiGate devices with multiple VDOMs, 2 or 4 FortiGate devices. The correct answer is 2. We can create a virtual clustering between only 2 FortiGate devices with multiple virtual domains. Next part is monitoring and configuring synchronization. Thank you.